1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. That guy's right.
Check. From a Step Brothers.
Yeah. How now, brown cow? How now, brown cow?
Unique New York.
Unique.
The
New
Burning
York.
Man.
I'm Will,
And I'm Jeremy.
and you're watching Healthy Hangouts.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Healthy Hangouts. I'm here with Will and Jeremy, owners of Grindstone Jiu Jitsu. Welcome to the show, and thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
We're just gonna get going.
Cool.
Well, first thing, man, I just feel like you guys are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You guys just have a lot of fun. You guys are joking around each other. I just met you guys 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And you guys are busting chops and
It's
having
constant.
fun. Yeah, so I mean, tell me about Grindstone.
Man, well, we initially met in third grade when I moved from Montana. So we've been friends since then. So that's like kind of what you're picking up on. We're just constantly, and we have jokes that are older than some of the students here. So it's like, you know, we vibe.
Yeah.
But I don't know, the origin story of Grindstone's pretty unique because I was doing jiu-jitsu at House and Gracie's for, I think at that point, 8 years. You were at Zenith.
Mm-hmm.
And the opportunity just really presented itself. It was kind of like the universe just handed it to us on a silver platter. So we jumped at the idea. This spot became available, and after running the analytics on the area, the median household age, and all the good numbers that you want to know about, we're like, yeah, we got to make this happen. And you know, I live on the east side. You live out, you're probably like 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm in Cleveland, in the city of
Yeah.
Cleveland.
And I live on the border of Painesville and like Perry. So I'm a
little-
good hour away.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, well, that's crazy that you would drive that far. But it's not about me, it's about what is good for the community. So yeah, we just took action, which is something that we've been focusing on doing for probably the last, 5 to 6 years. If an opportunity presents itself, we really just try to drive and
Yep.
push and push and push and take action, because we've always talked about how many opportunities as life presented us, and we were like, oh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
And then you don't do anything, right? And this was kind of the inception of, or the culmination of us taking action on a multitude of things and it coming together into this.
Yeah.
Here we are.
What do you think, like, taking action, that's been a big thing that I've been trying to do in my life of like, I have so many ideas that come in out of my brain every second, every day that I'm like, I could take action, I don't do, sometimes I do it. Like, what made you take the action? And I guess advice of like someone that's like, has an idea that hasn't taken any action and wants to, but is a little hesitant, I guess.
I think the hesitation, you know, the fear. People have a fear of, they have great ideas, but then that's all it ever becomes is an idea.
Right.
And they might have those ideas for years and years, and it might be the best idea ever. But the lack of taking action is people stop themselves because they're concerned about what people might think, you know, what people might say, you know, the ability to find a way is what matters most. And 99% of people they're not just they're listening to the wrong things.
Right.
You know, even for me in this case, you know, it was a great career that I've had my entire adult life. And, you know, once we fully decided to commit to this, I was like, adios.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a wonderful job that paid great. And I'm just like, well, if I want to do this, we have to go all in. And that was like a big thing for us, is like, all right, in the first couple of years, we're going all in, like no matter what. And from the very beginning to the build out to everything is we're going all in. And it is really important to set yourself up prior to, you know, and that was like a big thing for us. It was like, what led us to this was every small step we took in life, you know,
Right.
in a positive way, in a good
Butterfly
way.
effect.
Yeah, it's like that butterfly effect, you know, is we were doing all these things, and at that specific time, we might not have understood it, but it led to this, and then it gave us the ability, and we're just like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
like, here we are.
Yeah.
Like, it's great.
I've just been reading this book called The One Thing, and I'm just in like the first few chapters, but it's about like narrowing down your to-do list and finding that one thing and focusing on that, and the butterfly effect, like there was like the domino effect though, of how like just one decision, the little domino will eventually knock over that big domino over that momentum,
Yeah.
One thing I've found comfort in, especially in being an entrepreneur, is the law of averages, which, this wasn't the first business I've tried to start. I've started other things that have failed or maybe not performed to a level that would be worth continuing on. And there's a lot of that. The law of averages applies to everything, not just business. I mean, you see it in jiu-jitsu all the time, but the connection between jiu-jitsu and the belt system and being a brand new practitioner, that really transitions nicely into like the business world or social media world. Like when you first start off, you're a white belt. And a lot of people, where I think they mess up is, as a white belt, you expect to be a black belt, but that's never going to be the case. And you have to be okay with not being good at the task you're setting out to do for a good amount of time. You have to become the blue belt, and then the purple belt, and then the brown belt. And then it's not, so many people expect perfection right out of the gate, and that's not what you can expect. You have to consider the law of averages. The law of averages doesn't say that you're good at it right away. It says that eventually you'll find your win, but you have to be able to fight your way through the failures. And I think just kind of like what Jared was touching on, a lot of people are scared to fail. In your personal life, you're probably really good at a few things. There's probably some things that you're like top tier at, and then being, in your late 20s or your 30s or your 40s or even your 50s, trying to, kind of swallow that humble pie and going back to being a beginner at something can be hard for a lot. I mean, it was hard for me. I was good at a lot of different things, and just even like on a grappler basis, I was decent at wrestling. And then you come to jiu-jitsu, and I remember my first day at jiu-jitsu, I was thinking, I'm just going to wrestle all these guys to the ground. I'm going to pin everybody. It's going to be easy. And I'm getting wrecked by someone who is 50 pounds lighter than me, right? But instead of being like...
Humbled you fast.
Yeah, but instead of being like, oh, screw this, I was like, I need to learn this. Yeah. And I had to be okay with not being good at it. And it's just like, social media, business, any of it. Be okay with not being good in the beginning, stay consistent, and then eventually you find your tribe and you grow. It's beautiful.
Yeah, you kind of work out those kinks and everything. And I guess, talking to jiu-jitsu, you guys have a lot of people probably coming in here, probably, fearful or, trying this out for the first time, or coming in with lack of confidence. How has jiu-jitsu just, built up either your guys' confidence to what you've seen in your students and, just in the community?
Yeah, I mean, I know, I don't want to speak for both of us. Like, my perspective, jiu-jitsu has really improved my confidence in just talking with other high value people. Like, there's a certain level of energy that I guess you can bring to the table when you know how to defend yourself, right? Like if you, I heard someone say once, if you don't know how to fight, you're just a walking victim, or you're waiting to be a victim, right? There's a certain level of confidence that you can bring to a table when you know that I can handle myself physically.
Yeah.
And that, I think, transitions nicely into the business world. And you can carry yourself with that energy when you're speaking with people that matter and people that are gonna help elevate your business, right? Because no one wants to work with someone who's cowering and kind of meek, like I want to work with people who are like, let's go get it.
Yeah.
Like, let's go, let's drive, let's push. Very much like how he is. And jiu-jitsu's helped bring that out in me. I think that before jiu-jitsu, I probably could have been at times a little meek or soft-spoken when I was unsure, but jiu-jitsu is really good at making you live in the unsure, especially in your white belt era, So you kind of get used to that, and then it transitions nicely to everywhere else in life. I mean, you probably feel the same.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And it takes the emotional aspect out of a lot of life's games. It gives you the ability to, if, again, you're at the bar and someone bumps into you, before you're like, oh, like you get mad at each other, and like now you're just like, oh, hey, like, sorry, and even if they continue, hey man, you bumped into me, okay, cool. I'll get you another drink.
Yeah.
Like, my bad. It makes you more rational, and it takes the bad emotions out of a lot of situations. Like Will said, it gives you an air that prior to starting you might not have had.
Right.
So, and I love that about it.
Well, I did Muay Thai about 10 years ago, did that for about 10 years, and that was something that I picked up as a kid. As a kid too, I had a lot of I played soccer and some anger management issues. I would react really poorly. I eventually got into Kenpo, Taekwondo, then Muay Thai, and it was weird how getting into that more of a combat sport and that it brought that down. And even like now, there's times where I'm like I feel that like heatness coming back, where I'm like maybe I need to get back into this community, because it really does weirdly, even though you're fighting.
Yeah, I think that the martial arts aspect teaches you that anger is somewhat of a weakness, right? If you allow it to be an energy source.
Yeah.
If I grapple with anger, I make irrational decisions and I rush into situations, and I'm a bigger risk taker in a non-strategic way. Whereas if I can be calm, like if I compete, I try to be as calm as possible. When I wrestled in high school, I would listen to like Disturbed and Korn, and I'd get really ramped up, and I'd get out there and go a million miles an hour. Now when I compete in jiu-jitsu, I try to be as calm as possible. I want to go out there with a clear mind and approach everything like logically and strategically. And I think martial arts really, again, we're seeing that transference going into other areas of your life, whether it be business or social engagements, or you're out at the bar, you're more logical. Like, because when people don't know any better, anger feels powerful and it feels like a viable energy source, but it rushes you into your demise, essentially, right? So I think in learning that, it really helps propel you forward.
Yeah. Just you guys were kind of mentioning, like the example of at the bar. You guys both I kind of talked to you guys prior about drinking. I go through some of my issues with it. You guys have a background story, if you guys don't mind kind of sharing.
We were wild.
Yeah, we were wild. I think, man, I mean, I had fun. I don't have any regrets, and it's made me who I am today.
Yes.
There are times where I feel embarrassed about some of the things that I've done. I mean, it got to a point, I think in our early 20s, it was fairly innocent.
Yes.
And it was just good times. We were silly and just making each other laugh. And then for me at least, it got to a point where, man, I was like, at one point I was getting blackout drunk 5 nights a week. Like Monday was like house party night. Tuesday was ladies' night at some bar down the road. Wednesday was ladies' night down in the city. Thursday was ladies' night in the downtown area.
Yeah.
Like, not Cleveland, but Willoughby.
Yep.
Friday was maybe a chill night, and then Saturday you're back out in Cleveland, right? And you're taking Friday and Sunday off. And like every time I drank, it was just stomping the gas pedal.
Yeah.
And that turned into all kinds of poor decision making, driving when I shouldn't have, getting in fights that were stupid, harming my own friendships or even myself, or putting my friends in weird positions because I'm making decisions that are so poor, it kind of compromises what they want in life, right?
Yeah.
Like whether it be through really volatile relationships and they're involved in things that they don't want to be involved in, whether it's like, whatever. So it got to a point where I had to like take a step back, because it was holding me, like not only was it holding me back mentally, but I couldn't, your next couple days are shot because you're hungover and you can't go do what you want to do. Like, how am I supposed to pursue my goals and dreams if I'm hungover to the point where I'm just going to lay on a couch all day?
Right.
Or
you're spending 6 hours, 8 hours at a bar or something.
Yeah.
So you could have utilized those hours and probably.
Yeah, I mean, even like the kind of romantic relationships that I was involved in, and I'm not going to sit here and say all my exes were crazy. I was very much a part of the problem, and having that accountability, I think, is part of the process of coming out of it. But, a lot of volatility in my past, and like it was funny how like I kind of calmed down from the drinking, took a couple years to kind of focus on myself, and then that's when I meet my dream girl, like my wife, who's amazing, like absolutely obsessed with her, and she's very much a high value woman, and I never would have met her if I kept myself in the bars. There's not a chance I would have even been on her radar. So for me it was fun, and then it was dark. But then it was me pulling myself out of the pit and turning that into a victory.
And same, literally same. I mean, we went through it together, and it affected all aspects of our life in a negative way, career-wise, personally, everything. And at the time, once it turned from fun into chaos, I think we both were like, whoa, let's take a step back, let's take a bird's eye view and look at our lives as a whole. And we did. And the crazy thing is once we took that step back and gained perspective, everything in our lives started to blossom.
Dude, you hear that all the time.
And it was there the whole time. We just chose not to focus on it, you know. And once we really understood that and started focusing on it, career-wise, personally, you know, it was new PRs in every aspect of life.
Right. Now, what's cool is that you guys did it kind of at the same time, where, you know, some people get out of it earlier, never get out of it later.
Right.
You know, which is cool because you're able to kind of do it together.
Yeah.
Just starting Grindstone. If you want to bring it back here, what's the meaning? You guys just got this mural done.
Yeah.
What's the meaning of the of Grindstone? Like, why you?
Yeah. So when we were trying to decide what we wanted to call it, we were playing around with names. You know, one of our buddies was like, "Hey, what about a grindstone?" Like, you think about the term grindstone and what it is. It's a tool used to sharpen weapons or tools, and that's essentially what we're doing in here. We're sharpening people to become better, to be finer, sharper individuals. So, you know, the whole development of the logo and the you know, cross battle axes and the skull that kind of resembles a gorilla skull, but also a human skull, and then also with this guy in the back who's kind of a samurai, but also a Viking, a mix. Like, we wanted something that was original. You don't see a lot of samurai Viking mix. I mean, even if you go on Google and try to search, it's pretty rare to see stuff like that.
Stump
So,
Google.
yeah, you know. So, you know, it was just it's just a matter of taking the lessons that we've learned to create sharper versions of ourselves through using a grindstone per se,
Yeah.
and providing that for our students. And everyone seemed to really loves the idea of the grindstone and what it represents. So, I mean, we ran with it, and I think it went well.
Yeah. Now, what kind of classes do you guys all offer here?
So we have adult jiu-jitsu, that's gi and no gi. We have kids jiu-jitsu, which is age starting at 4. We have some even a little bit on that threshold, will be 4 soon.
Okay.
And
Our kids class is awesome.
Yeah, kids class is great.
Yeah.
So, and that's 4 to 12. And then we have striking classes, which is kickboxing. We offer women's only self-defense classes as well, that me and Will are the instructors for. So we try to provide services to everyone, which is great for us. You know, we really enjoy having the ability of a welcoming environment for people that are brand new or for experts.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just the welcoming environment. I felt it just coming in here and meeting you guys for the first time. What would you say to someone? Because like, I started kind of later. I wish I would have started earlier in my life. But like, what would you say to someone that's like, I want to say hesitant, but like for kids to start doing martial arts or jiu-jitsu? Like, why is that important for kids to like kind of start?
Well, I think for me, like, one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't start earlier. And if I had started, like, oh man, if you can get your kids started, and you know, whether it's 4, 5, 6, 10, 12, and they love it, and they continue to do that through their adulthood. I mean, they're really in a place of advantage because they're looking at a black belt by the time they're 18 or 19, and that gives them a lot of time to really sharpen their skills. But I mean, aside from that, we like to call our kids classes the anti-bully club, right? Because bullying is obviously an issue. It's become prevalent, and it's a really sad thing that the kids have to go through. I experienced a little bit of it, not a whole lot when I was a kid, but I did experience a little. So I have some empathy for the kids that have to go through that. And I mean, just the fact that you're learning to be confident, you're learning a viable martial art that teaches you teaching you techniques that actually work, and not just work, but works for kids, right? I mean, it's designed for a smaller person to beat a bigger person, a weaker person to beat a stronger person. So it's so good for kids, boys and girls alike. But I mean, all the benefits that we've already talked about, that's what you're going to get in the kids class, right? But anybody that was feeling hesitant, I mean, let's just, if I could give you a magic pill that's going to, in time, create a stronger version of yourself, a more confident version of yourself, probably a more friendly and logically thinking version of yourself, that's jiu-jitsu. It's not a pill that you take and then boom, but it's a pill that you take every day. You know, you go to class every day and you just begin to develop and transform. And some of the nicest people I've ever met are in jiu-jitsu. Like, I know when I first started, I'm like, oh man, I'm walking into this school full of killers, and you walk in, you've never, like, your first day can be overwhelming because you're walking into the lion's den, right? Like all these people know how to fight.
Yeah.
I don't know anything. I don't know anybody. So first off, big kudos to anyone who has the courage to come to a school, because I know that's not an easy task. But some of the nicest people I've ever met are here, especially in Grindstone. I mean, we've really tried strongly to cultivate a welcoming, friendly environment, and we keep close eye on like a bird's eye view of what's going on here. And if someone is causing issues, like your time is limited, right? Like we cultivate a very friendly, welcoming relationship or environment. And we're very, that's very important to us because we want everyone to feel welcome, whether you're a police officer, a kid, you're a woman, or even a woman that's survived some kind of abuse, physical abuse of any kind. We want you to feel welcome here and know that you're safe. This is a safe environment for everyone.
Now, you're in law enforcement, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and do you guys have many law enforcement officers, or I don't know how people on duty come train here?
Probably 40%. Probably 40% of our clientele is law enforcement.
Okay.
And which is great. You know, just from being a defensive tactics instructor in law enforcement, seeing and being able to provide a space that makes these officers better it's a win-win.
Right.
They're getting better physically, mentally, and then they're gaining knowledge that they could use on the job, which is, you know, it's full circle. It's great. And seeing the journey for some of the officers that we have that might have had some struggles, not necessarily with work, but personally, to see this outlet that we provide fix that, you know, and they're happier people, they have better relationships, they quit drinking, you know, they started working out and they are around like-minded individuals, and it's a safe space for them, which is great. You know, hey, if you come, there's 20 other cops that are all going through exactly what you're going through. Let's become better together. So that's super important. And
from a police officer's point of view, you know, a lot of these guys go to work and they're dealing with people from the start of their shift to the end of their shift who are having the worst day of their lives. And sometimes many of these people do not like police officers. So police officers can have a tendency to be hypervigilant because that's what keeps them safe. And, you know, they've already introduced enough danger into their lives that sometimes training in a martial arts studio where you don't know if everyone in there is going to be okay with you being a cop doesn't always seem like the most advantageous thing for them, right? Like, am I going to really want to introduce myself to more danger if I'm already exposed to that for 8 to 12 hours a day? Which is another reason why we really wanted to make this a safe environment for cops. Like, if you're someone that doesn't get along with police officers, this is not going to be the place for you. Like, we have a lot of cops in here, and these guys, you know, I'm a firm believer, we're both firm believers that every cop should at least be a blue belt. And you'd see all kinds of different changes. You'd see all kind of positive changes in the police world from that. So we put a lot of effort and energy to making this not just obviously a safe environment for cops, but for everyone.
Can you guys both kind of share, you know, you're talking about how certain people, you know, kind of go through their journey and like going through that transition can be very hard. Share your guys' wellness story. And I know you said, I think you were saying that you're vegan now because of like it was an accident. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like if you kind of share how you've gotten to where your wellness and, you know, nutrition has gotten today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, I mean, ever since I would say high school, even in high school, I was an athlete. So I've always eaten for nutrition. I've never been big on eating for pleasure. And I have my moments, right, like anybody does. But like for the most part, I've always been very dialed in on my calories and my macros, and I need this much. And like, you could give me a box of crayons, and if you told me it was 40 grams of protein, I'll probably eat it. Like, there's a little fat, a little bit of carbs, a lot of protein. I don't care. Just give me the goods, right? So, yeah, I've always been kind of that thinking. And then I would say when I was 34, I was 2 years into jiu-jitsu. I was sparring with a brown belt. I was, I think, a brand new blue belt at the time, because this is just after I competed at the Chicago Championships. I got my blue belt on the podium, which was one of the coolest experiences of my life. But I was sparring with a brown belt at my school at the time, and I got stuck in a front headlock, and I tried to unravel the headlock by spiraling, and I spiraled very aggressively in the wrong direction, you know, rookie mistake. And I remember feeling a pop in my neck, and then I felt like a warm liquid running down my spine. and my legs became weak, my left arm became useless, and I remember I collapsed to the mat, and I'm like, I think I need an ambulance, I don't know what's going on. They're like, all right, let's just relax for a second. So I was able to gather myself.
Like you said that even?
I could tell something was wrong in my neck, and I didn't know what it was. Essentially what happened was I exploded the disc between C5 and C6, and it exploded in 3 different arms. So one arm went up my spinal column, one arm went down my spinal column, and then the one that caused the neurological damage, it was an arm that went into my spinal cord 21 millimeters, 22 millimeters, so it basically impinged my spine. So when we did the MRIs, that section, the spinal cord looked like it was gone because it was flattened. So, I mean, you could hand me a water bottle and I wouldn't be able to pick my left arm up to grab it.
You were kind of paralyzed.
In some ways. I could still use parts of my body.
Yeah.
It wasn't like everything from the neck down was done, but
severe nerve.
Yeah, damage. Like the left arm was cooked. I could barely walk, and that wasn't necessarily from nerve damage, but like any step I took caused a vibration in my body, which caused extreme pain. So I was in a really bad spot. Ended up having surgery, which I wasn't aware of how any of this goes. They cut the front of your neck open, and then they scoop your esophagus and your trachea out of the way and fuse your spine through this medieval hole that they created in the front of your neck.
That's nuts.
So I didn't even know that going into the surgery. I woke up and the front of my neck was taped up, and I had a suction tube coming out of my neck because it needs to suck the fluid out of your neck. So it was, and basically what they do is they take a metal bracket and they take a bone spacer from a cadaver. So where my disc was, there's a bone spacer there. And they screw the bracket into your C5 and C6. And then what they do is they take a piece of bone somewhere, I don't know where they grabbed it from on my body, I should probably find out. But I was so concerned with, I didn't ask any questions because I was just kind of like a deer in headlights. This all happened very quick. They take a piece of bone, they grind it down into a powder, and then they mix that with your blood to make a bioglue. Okay, and then they put that bioglue in the holes that they drill, they put the bracket in, secure it, and then for 3 months you basically have to sit still because that's what causes the fusion. That bioglue fuses the metal bracket to your bone. So, I mean, I'm stuck at home just playing Call of Duty and it's like kind of like...
Were you in a brace or anything, or was it, Yeah,
it was a brace. And because I couldn't work out, my diet fell apart like the first time in my life. And I was eating Chinese food like 3 times a day. Like my wife had to go to school and work, so she wasn't there always to take care of me. So I'm constantly like ordering food, and I had like this roller thing that I could like kind of get around on. So they'd bring food to me and I would just eat it. And for 3 months I didn't work out. It felt like I lost all my muscle. And I put on some fat, obviously, because I was eating a lot of calories and not working out. And it was brutal, man. And then finally, when I was able to work out again, after, I think it was like the 4th month, the doctor was like, you can work out, no jiu-jitsu. I was like, okay.
Ease into it.
Yeah, so I started working out, and like all my joint pain started coming back. I dealt with tendonitis a lot. In my elbows, my shoulders, and my wife, who was already vegan, she's like, well, why don't you just try going vegan or plant-based? She's like, it's good for anti-inflammatory aspects. I'm like, all right, well, I'll try it. So I try it, and like 2 weeks into committing to it, I felt better in my joints than any joint support supplement I'd ever had. Like all my joints felt better, including my neck, and then I was back to pushing. Eventually I was able to catch up to the weight I was doing as a meat eater, and then eventually I just, surpassed that. And it was like, okay, I'm hooked on this. Like, this is fantastic. I love this. I mean, and there's other reasons for, like, obviously I'm an animal lover too, but I can't say that I did it for the animals, right? Like that was my inception. Still an animal lover, right? But I was in a unique situation where like I couldn't really move. Yeah. And jiu-jitsu and weightlifting are massive passions of mine, and I think that's something that a lot of people take for granted, is like your ability to move is a gift. And like I didn't realize how important that was until I was trapped in my own body.
You're right.
So it's like, if you can move your fingers and toes, I love to put this on my IG page. If you can move your fingers and toes, you're living someone else's dream life. Like, think about that. That's powerful. So, yeah, I've got nothing but gratitude for my wife's guidance and the ability to get myself back to being athletic and, an athlete. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I do the online coaching. I've done. Was making YouTube content for recipes for a while, but it's kind of transitioned mostly into jiu-jitsu content. But yeah, it's. I'm very committed to it. It's been nothing but a good thing for me, and I should always share my knowledge with people who are interested.
Yeah, that's cool, and that's cool that you saw the kind of the results relatively quickly. You know, you said within 2 weeks, you kind of started seeing some things. Like that's pretty cool. What about you? Your wellness journey? And
wellness journey is the same thing. Always an athlete, and that just transitioned into adulthood. I think by us just being the type of people that we are, being outdoorsy, we always just wanted to be lumberjacks, and just we always did bodybuilding after high school, and it was just it's always been a thing, and that includes eating properly, and that's the cool thing. And one of the unique things too is Will, we've been all over the world together, and he's exposed me to some really cool vegan restaurants or spots that we've eaten at, and it's all really good. Anytime that we travel, I will always eat vegan.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah, that's cool. Well,
it really is.
I feel like a lot of, even me, I'll be honest, like, I think I'm just like, what's like how would I get enough protein? How would I do, that's like my first initial thought, because, so I'm like, what am I gonna eat, beans, the whole time? But like, there's obviously so many different ways to do it.
Yeah.
But, that's just most people's probably initial kind of thought.
And that was mine too. Like when we transitioned into it, and then I saw all the benefits that he was gaining from it. I was like, man, that's really, really cool. So, for me, I just eat everything.
Just shovel it in there.
I'm a hybrid.
Yeah.
Vegan when we go on vacation somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's as long as it hits the proper macros.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all I really care about. I don't eat too much for pleasure, but the great thing is that if you eat properly, it makes the biggest difference in the world. Like, your body is made in the kitchen. It truly, truly is. Obviously, the physical work that you put in
it helps.
Extremely important, but what's more important is how you treat your body, how you eat, and having the ability to say no. Like, I want to eat ice cream every night, but I choose to. But I choose to once a week.
This up? Yeah. It's probably need to. This probably has a. There we go. But yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, of course. Can you continue?
Yeah, so you have to put limits. Mm-hmm. So you could we both still enjoy really gluttonous meals, but we limit them.
Yeah, balance. You gotta find the
we were in
balance.
Puerto Rico together, and we went and got like pizzas, but like my own pizza and his own pizza.
Yeah, we literally both ate.
It's not all
pizzas.
the time, but we'll have fun every now and then.
Exactly. Well, you got to. It breaks it down to like, where you're just saying, it changes a lot. It goes back to like, there's times where we'd be drinking and it's like, it's literally poison in your body, and we wonder why you feel this way the next day, or you're not fully like engaged or not, because it's like you're not properly fueled. Mm-hmm. That channels into your mental health, and then you're feeling a little depressed, or you're not motivated or disciplined enough to go do that thing you wanted to do, to exercise or whatever. So like, kind of focusing on mental health and weakness and stuff. Like, jiu-jitsu is a strong sport. How does jiu-jitsu help with your mental health? You personally, and then I'm sure you've seen it in the students you guys have coached and been around with.
Yeah, I think for me, it was funny you say that, because if I don't get my jiu-jitsu fix, my wife will start to be like, you need to go to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, kind of kick you out, like, hey, class starts in 30.
You need to go fight your buddies a little bit, But it's nice because it's a physical outlet. It's like a blow-off valve on like a performance car, right? Mm-hmm. Without that blow-off valve, things are gonna become really condensed and eventually explode. Like, so this is my blow-off valve. I come in here, and you can, what I really like about jiu-jitsu is like Jared and I can roll, and I can give 100%, and I'm not gonna hurt him. You know what I mean? Like, so I can really dump all my emotions and get them all out. But like, if something doesn't feel right, he can tap. Whereas like striking arts, you have to be careful, because if you haul off and do an emotional dump and crack your buddy, you could hurt him, right?
Right.
Jiu-jitsu, he taps if anything feels wrong or painful. So, yeah, nervous energy, anxiety, anybody that suffers even from like depression, because just the act of rolling, like I said, is a great release, but the community that comes with it. I mean, I've often said that I could know someone my whole life, and then I could meet someone and maybe I've rolled with them. I've never rolled with a guy I've known my whole life, but this new guy I've rolled with, I almost know the guy I've rolled with better than the guy I've known my whole life, right? Because you learn a different side of that person. It's a very intimate
connection.
It's a strong, intimate connection when you can, fight with someone, but like there's a lot of trust there. Like he's putting his trust in me that I'm not going to hurt him, and I'm putting my trust in him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you really develop a strong brotherly bond. I mean, what does a tap represent? It means that I'm killing you, right? Like if it's your arm, okay, I'm breaking you, but if it's your neck and I don't let go, you could die. So that's what the tap represents. Like, hey, you got me, let's reset. So there's a lot of brotherhood that comes with that. I think the trust and the connection that you build. So yeah, if you're someone that, like I said, if you're someone that feels lonely, jiu-jitsu. Like if you're someone that struggles from anxiety or depression, jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
You're someone who has a lot of nervous energy, jiu-jitsu. Like come in and just get it all out.
Yeah, and it kind of, new people will always have anxiety coming into some form of combat sport. And the great part is you get to come here and you get to share that with somebody that you do trust. So now you're connecting on them with more than just you're getting the physical connection that he just talked about, but now you're getting that emotional connection.
Yeah.
And you're with people that are supporting you, or that are like, hey, I was going through that same journey and it's been a year, my anxiety is gone. The depression that I had is gone. And it's done through hard work because it's not easy. It's difficult. Jiu-jitsu is very difficult, but you're doing that with like-minded people, which makes the biggest difference in the world, especially for mental health. You get that release that you wouldn't necessarily get. Even with weightlifting, you don't get that connection. You don't get that release. With jiu-jitsu, you get that release where you're like, wow, this is something challenging. It's not easy, it's difficult, I'm scared of it, but I'm gonna push through.
Yeah.
And you start to rewire your brain. Like, oh, there's a challenge, now I'm gonna accept that challenge and I'm gonna push through it. Where before, I wouldn't push through.
Yeah, and you kind of take on the challenges.
Yes.
You find those challenges exciting,
Yes.
you're not fearful of them
Yes.
or whatever. Because that's a lot. Is like the fear takes over so much.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about that is like if you have someone that comes in and they stick with it for years, right? Let's say they make it to like brown belt, if like, let's say I look at my brown belt pictures, like the class pictures we take, and I go back and look at my white belt pictures, like I was a totally different person.
It's probably even that's how you're standing.
Just how you're standing, the way your uniform is, like you're kind of like, I was a little sloppy, my belt's tied all incorrectly, it kind of looked like a goofball. And then like, you come all this way, and it happens to almost everybody. Like you make it to purple or brown belt and they're standing there and like you're looking at this Terminator. Versus when they were a white belt, you're kind of like just kind of like.
You're kind of loose, you kind of like slowly tighten up a little bit.
But what's interesting too is that even though they've transformed into this, maybe a scarier version of themselves, almost all the time they're almost nicer than they were as a white belt. Like people come in here and they'll be quiet, which is, I expect that. It's it's nerve-wracking, right? And you maybe not sure of yourself. So you're a little bit more reclusive and quiet, but then you stay for a while and you build the friendships and the confidence. And then years down the road, you're like this Terminator version of yourself that's more friendly. And it makes me smile every time I see it.
Yeah. It's a weird like oxymoron. I don't know if it's oxymoron is the right word to use, but it's just just weird how because it's a combat, tough sport to where then you meet the people like even you guys like just so friendly and like teddy bears where it's like you guys just have fun and goof around.
Well, you drop your guard. You have the confidence. You know what you're capable of, and then
you say drop your guard.
Yeah, you drop your guard. You don't have to put on this tough guy act, right? Because you're confident. You know what you're able to do. Like it's. Like you train for a while, let's say for Muay Thai with you get a new guy that comes on off the street, maybe he looks really scary, but you start sparring with him and like you're toying with him. You almost do whatever you want. It's the same thing in jiu-jitsu. And you start to kind of like disconnect from, just because someone looks scary doesn't mean they are. Right. You know what I mean? And and I don't have to portray this scary image because I know how to handle myself. It's just the beauties of martial arts.
And I mean, who wants to be like, I mean, you want to bring more joy and happiness to
Yes,
the world.
yes.
You know,
Yes.
anyways, it's like, you know, we've gone through like the stages of wanting to be the tough guy and
Yeah.
this and that. So it's like, yeah, now let's bring that joy, and that's
Yeah.
awesome that you guys are doing that. I had you guys write down a moment of motivation, like something that kind of like brings motivation to you. And I know there's different definitions of that word, but I don't know if you guys want to share what you guys wrote down.
You want to go ahead?
Yeah. So my motivation was, you can't be exceptional and be,
That's right.
Yeah, no.
Grab it.
Where's it?
I always mess this
It's over there.
Yeah.
You can't be exceptional without.
right. Ordinary.
Please leave that in.
Yeah,
Please leave that in. Leave that in, please.
Yes. To be exceptional. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. What was it again?
Yeah. So to be exceptional, you can't be ordinary, and to be ordinary, you can't be exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
The meaning behind that is, you can't expect, if you accept mediocrity in your life, that's all you'll be. So to be an exceptional person, you have to be different than everybody. But not everybody wants to be different. Most people settle with mediocrity. So I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's
hard to be different too.
Yeah,
I mean, because you're not in a circle, you're not in, you know,
Yeah.
maybe you don't. I'm kind of like, I'm trying to find my
Yeah.
way again, you know, in
Yeah.
a way, and yeah, it's hard to be different.
And I could speak that from, you know, my career choice is, everybody is the same, everybody's identical, and I have never been that. I have always been different in how I am as a person, and I'm not a robot. I'm myself, obviously. My hair, I have a mullet. You know, I choose to be how I am because I love who I am, and I don't want to change who I am, and I don't want to be
that's
mediocre.
awesome. Yeah.
I do not want to be like everybody else.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm cut from a different cloth. You know, probably the same cloth as you.
Yeah.
Some really weird cloth. I would so much rather be that than just mediocre.
Yeah.
I can't stand mediocre. I love to be different and to be my own person. And I think more people should be comfortable with that. I'm really comfortable with who I am.
That's great.
And it took me a while to get there.
Same.
You know, because there was times where I was like, just fall in line. And I hated that. I want to be who I am as a person. You
Yeah.
know, I have to have. You have to have your own identity.
I know.
You know, people don't. They don't have their own identity. They're like, oh, I'm scared. I'm fearful. But guess what? You need to take those fearful steps, because having that system with yourself personally, it just transitions into your life. You know, even with this, it's look at this. This is different than any other jiu-jitsu school that you go to. What do you see when you go to a jiu-jitsu school? White walls and blue mats.
Just mats, yeah.
No personality. This is very different than any other place that you'll go to, because we're cut from that weird cloth.
Yeah. Well, it's like we lean into who we are. I think for a long time, like even when I started my pursuit on social media, I was trying to be like everyone else who was doing well, and I was excluding the uniqueness of me. Like, your superpower is that there's only one of you, and you know, it is difficult to kind of find your own brand and how that looks on a camera, or how it looks in the version of like a jiu-jitsu school. But I think if you stay focused on the uniqueness of you, and like, you have to be okay with being like, your weirdness is cool. Like, your weirdness is funny. Your weirdness is what draws like-minded people to you.
Right.
So like for me, I was just so focused on, all right, this guy does this really good, this guy does this really good. I'm going to try to piece together this thing that isn't me and try to make it work. That's never going to work. You have to lean into your uniqueness. And this is very much like this school is very much everything that we love. Like the black walls, the battle axes, the logos and everything that we've done, the lights. Like, it's different. No one else has really done this, but it's because it's our uniqueness, our weirdness coming together to manifest into this. And it's the same thing for social media. Like we talked about branding. Like, my brand is just a combination of my weird, unique qualities. you know,
Yeah.
that I'm not afraid to own anymore, which really can go back to jiu-jitsu because I'm confident now. And I don't really care if you don't like me. Like,
Yeah.
this is me.
I'm
And
gonna do it anyways, and
Yeah.
it makes me happy.
this
so.
is me, and I'm going to draw on the people that resonate with me.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, some people like it, some people don't, and then
Right.
that's okay too. you
Yes,
know?
absolutely.
You have to be open to that as well. That's
Yeah.
something that I feel like a lot of people, or even including myself, is like, oh, yeah, I have to like everything. It's like, no, you don't necessarily have to. So,
Right.
What was your moment of motivation?
Mine is written on the wall over here, so I kind of feel like I'm cheating, but sometimes backwards, always forwards.
Okay.
So I came up with that because I went through a period in my jiu-jitsu where I was making a lot of mistakes. And we all have our good weeks and our bad weeks, but I went through like almost like an identity crisis within my purple belt era. 'Cause I'm like, do I really deserve the purple belt? Am I a purple belt? Where should I actually be?
Yeah.
So I kind of had to revisit the fundamentals of, hey, it's okay to make mistakes. This is, the journey of a white belt is to make mistakes. Well, inside the purple belt, if you want to learn new avenues, like I got really good at my A game, but then there were certain things that I was lacking, like maybe leg locks or other certain submissions that, whatever, were different branches from my game that I've never touched. So sometimes backwards, learning new things, right? But if you're learning, you're always moving forward.
Yeah.
And again, that kind of just transitions nicely to life, like, the business, like the law of averages. I've made mistakes, and as long as you can keep going, you're gonna find your way.
Right.
Right? So just because you're making mistakes, it's only sometimes backwards. It's not all the time backwards, it's just sometimes backwards. And if you can find the silver lining and find the value of that mistake and learn from it, then you're always moving forwards,
Yep.
even in your backward moments.
Yeah, I love it. It's I'm a big Stallone Rocky guy since I was, but it's always just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how hard you get hit, just
Yeah.
keep moving forward. Kind
Yeah,
of thing.
absolutely, man.
But hey, I just want to say, you guys talking with you guys, I want to talk to you guys forever right now. Is just getting motivated and just hearing your guys' story. But I just want to say thank you very much for taking the time. Come on the Healthy Hangouts and showcasing off your
Absolutely,
great school. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, come on back anytime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, anytime.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Healthy Hangout. Yeah, see, this is very good.
Yeah.
Listen, when I film my own YouTube video, I'll do them 100 times.
Yeah, and that's where also about social media, people don't realize like that took them a long
So
time.
don't feel weird, because I've literally
like-
done this in front of like 20 people before, where I had to
Okay.
like recite something. Like,
And it's weird being in front of people right
we
now.
totally
too.
get it.
Yeah.
Like, you're totally
Yeah.
fine. If it takes you 30 times, it takes you 30
Yeah.
times. We get it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Is
Hell
that
yeah,
it?
guys. Yeah.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, it was
Dude,
great.
yeah, thank you guys again. And,
Yeah, thank you, man.